Acknowledgements. As my husband notes in the preface to this book, his interest in Pearl Harbor stemmed from his year-long association, 1945 to 1946, with the Congressional Joint Committee to investigate the attack on Pearl Harbor. As director of the committee's minority staff, he studied all the documents furnished the committee and attended all the hearings. After the hearings ended, he received a small grant from Harry Elmer Barnes to seek answers to some questions raised but not answered by the several investigations. With money from the grant, he traveled back and forth across the country in the early 1960s, interviewing individuals who had an interest in Pearl Harbor. Here they are, listed in alphabetical order. Admiral Walter S. Anderson, General Carter W. Clark, Curtis Dahl, General Bonner Fellers, Admiral Thomas L. Hart, Admiral Royal E. Ingersoll, Captain Thomas K. Kimmel, Captain Robert A. Lavender, Admiral Arthur W. McCollum, Commander Charles C. Miles, Admiral Ben Morial, Admiral Joseph R. Redmond, Admiral F. W. Rockwell, Captain Lawrence F. Safford, Vice Admiral John F. Shafroth, General Albert C. Wedemeyer, and General Charles A. Willoughby. Captain Safford deserves special mention. Percy talked with him many times on his frequent visits to Washington, and Safford described to him in careful detail the Navy's pre-war system for keeping secret the very existence of the Japanese magic intercepts and the information they revealed. When Barnes's funds ran out, Percy's serious study of Pearl Harbor was sidetracked as he returned to the more urgent demands of earning a living. However, he continued reading and lecturing on the subject. Only in semi-retirement did he again have time to actually start putting the results of his research on paper. As I have written, Percy died in 1984. His manuscript was practically finished. After his death, however, I took over the task of editing it and readying it for publication. I physically chopped up the typed manuscript and reorganized chronologically his accounts of pre-war events and post-war revelations. I also put the entire manuscript on the computer. I interviewed several persons, radio man Ralph T. Briggs, the Navy Code clerk who had intercepted the elusive East Wind Rain message, Admiral Kemp Tolley, commander of the Lanikai, one of the 3 small ships ordered by Roosevelt to be commissioned just before the attack and to take up positions in the South China Sea, in the path of the southbound Japanese convoys, and Admiral Kimmel's son, Captain Thomas Kimmel, whom my husband had also interviewed. As a result of my editing, the manuscript plus its footnotes became much too long for any publisher to consider. Sheldon Richman, editor of The Freeman, helped cut it down. Daniel Bazikian spent many hours with me proofreading the manuscript. 2 Japanese friends, Toshio Murata and Kentaro Nakano, translated for me the passage in a book by Japan's chief intelligence officer in Washington, indicating that a winds execute, East Wind Rain, had actually been received before the attack by the Japanese embassy in Washington. This Japanese account was in contradiction of the position of U.S. intelligence officers who refused to admit during the congressional hearings that such a message had been sent by Tokyo, which could have been intercepted by Safford and his crew before the war began. And Leo Bloom, nephew and friend, visited me several times in Irvington, encouraging me and helping with the manuscript. I have profited also from the comments made and the questions asked by many of Percy's friends and students who had been fascinated by his account of Pearl Harbor whenever he spoke on the subject formally in lectures and informally in our living room. I can only hope he would have approved of what I have done to transform his lifelong labor of love into a manuscript suitable for publication. Signed, Bettina Bien Greaves, editor. Mrs. Percy L. Greaves, Jr.